One News can reveal the government plans to weaken legal obligations to the Treaty of Waitangi. Following a sweeping review of treaty clauses and legislation, it's proposing decision makers do no more than, quote, take into account the treaty principles. That language weaker than some of the wording currently used. It's a move officials warn could significantly harm Maori Crown relations and trigger litigation. Our Maori Affairs correspondent Te Hanganui has more.
Some clarification here. The presenter is factually incorrect. She's using the treaty principles and the Treaty of Waitangi in the same sentence, but they're two separate things. Te Tiriti was signed by over 500 Maori chiefs in 1840, and the treaty principles were government legislation put through by the Labour government in 1975 in the Treaty of Waitangi Act, which also weren't specified. So since then, the Waitangi Tribunal has been making up what it thinks the principles are, and that has nothing to do with what is written in Te Tiriti.
From laws that shape how we manage our environment to the way we respond to climate change. Upholding the treaty principles isn't always optional. In some cases, it's legally required. But that could soon change.
To adulterate those and to diminish those is a major step backwards.
A cabinet paper obtained by One News shows the government plans to limit obligations to the treaty principles in legislation to no more than take into account. It means any existing clauses that enforce a higher standard, such as give effect to the treaty, would go.
I can take into account anything. That doesn't mean I have to give effect to it. That doesn't mean I have to recognise and respect it.
What we inherited was this range of references. Sometimes it was honour, sometimes it was have regard to, sometimes give effect to, and all that inconsistency is what we're trying to tidy up.
Wasn't that interesting? See how they were talking about the treaty principles, but they were using B-roll showing the actual Treaty of Waitangi, and the reason they did that was to give it validation. What they didn't tell you was they were actually talking about stuff that was made up after 1975 that has nothing to do with the original Treaty of Waitangi.
But Justice Ministry advice warned against lowering the threshold, saying doing so has no apparent benefits and carries significant risk to the Maori Crown relationship.
We don't agree with that, and what we're trying to do is achieve a level of consistency.
Ministry officials also suggested the move could trigger legal challenges.
Because they are literally going to piss off every iwi and hapu across the country.
There's always a risk of litigation.
Paul Goldsmith received advice from an independent advisory group too.
And they have said that it shouldn't be limited to take into account.
On top of that, it cautioned against removing treaty clauses altogether from legislation, but the minister's proposing to get rid of them in 6 laws.
You've ignored that too?
No, we haven't ignored it. We don't agree with it.
The moves follow a review of treaty clauses initiated by New Zealand First as part of the coalition agreement. Paul Goldsmith says he's now put the plan to the Iwi Chairs Forum.
Is there any support from them for this proposal?
I haven't seen the detailed responses, but my impression is that they prefer that nothing change.
So everything said since I last spoke has nothing to do with the Treaty of Waitangi, but has everything to do with the treaty principles that were initiated in 1975. But that's not how TVNZ portrays it. So what do you think they're trying to do, and how do you think they're trying to influence New Zealanders to think about this new policy?
A bill's expected to be introduced before the election. Te Hanganui, One